In my studio today, I have Captain Joel S. Fogel, world-renowned traveler and explorer. And you are listening to This is Life with your host, Simone. Good afternoon, Captain.
Hello, Miss Simone, and I wanted to thank you so much for inviting me here today. We had a little get-together recently at the awards dinner for our friends, the first responders in Atlantic City and all up and down the East Coast, trying to thank them for their brave deeds and brave actions during the Hurricane Sandy, which came to be one of those very special storms that almost seemed like the perfect storm.
It was dubbed the perfect storm, and New Jersey did suffer a tremendous amount of damage up and down its coast. But let's talk about you. Now, how does a man from Absecon Island, a very traditional place on the coast, end up traveling the world all the way to Africa, amongst one of your adventures, I should just say? Can we get a little bit of background about yourself?
Well, there's an old saying amongst the Swahili, and they say, "Malenga lomno ngoto," which means loud words will never help you cross a dangerous valley. And for some reason, I've always been attracted to challenge. I guess perhaps as a young man working aboard my grandfather's fishing boat, the Bluefish, being at sea for weeks on end out in the ocean. I was very young. I was 5 or 6 years old, and he used to look at me and say, "Son, keep your eyes on the horizon." I say, "Pop, my stomach hurts. I feel sick." "Stop your squalling," he'd say. "Hold to the horizon." He'd have me holding on to that helm. And oh my gracious, all I could think about was getting back home, playing ball with my friends.
Really?
That's it.
It would seem to me that that would have fed your imagination of as being a young boy. So what changed your mind during the course of that?
I guess I had large diets of it. In addition to being a seaman and a fisherman, my grandfather was an equestrian. He was a horseback rider and trainer. He was a carpenter. He was a hunter, and he kept me under his wing all while I was growing up. Of course, I had a lot of forces in my life back then. I had my mother, who was a very talented artist, a painter, a musician, a sculptor, and she wanted to have me learn to play piano. And so she had the masters come from Italy and Germany to teach me at the age of 6 and 7 how to play classical piano. And I hated it at the time. All I wanted to do, my friends were out there at the window calling, "Come on, Joe, come on out and play. We're going to play. Can't you come? You got to stay there and play the piano all day." I was miserable.
Mm-hmm. And through that misery, you said, I've seen better things. I've seen more exciting things that I'd rather be doing right now.
Yes, I was called.
Mm-hmm.
I was called. In fact, I almost didn't graduate Atlantic City High School as a young man. My last year, my senior year, I missed 80 days of school. And the teacher said, "I know that it's not that you don't like school." She said, "But I happen to know that you like to be outdoors even more." And she said, "Where have you been these last 80 days? She says, "You're not going to get your certificate to graduate. I mean, your grades are good," she said. "But that's not the problem." She said, "You have to have the days. You have to put in the time." I said, "Ma'am, I've been out in the marshlands. I've been out in the fields running wild like the Jersey Devil." I said, just to see that beautiful sky and to smell the marshlands and the spartina grasses, to be out there with the birds flying free and these wild animals, I said, I feel very much akin to all that, and I want to be part of it.
I see. Now, you are a licensed boat captain.
Yes, ma'am.
Where does the term pilot come into play, rather than being called a captain?
Well, I'm also a pilot. I fly a plane, and I'm also a flight instructor.
Now, the term pilot is used both in sea and air.
Yes.
So when you're in the sea, we refer to you as a pilot also?
Not really. Primarily when you're piloting a vessel, you're navigating the vessel, but you're officially termed as a captain or a crewman. Pilot, it refers to it's a verb as opposed to a noun. It describes something that you're doing. It's an act of piloting a vessel or navigating it through waters.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're a pilot, you're actually piloting the vessel through the water.
So you piloted a a hang glider, did you? Into a volcano? What were you doing? And where were you doing this?
You see, if you take my life, just little bits and pieces of it, and throw it up to the average listener, they're going to say, what is wrong with this guy? Why doesn't he just go out and get a job? I mean, what is going on with him? He's done too many things. It's very hard for me to sit down with the average person to describe what's motivated me to move in all these various directions. But I think that somewhere back in my life, or maybe a previous life, I was perhaps a bird because I love to fly.
Okay, Mr. Bird, where was this volcano, and how did you get to be there to do what you did?
Well, I had been flying hang gliders from the mid-'70s. These are these little silk wings with the aluminum infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. It's a bird with a lawnmower engine on it.
Well, actually, I flew them without the motor, just the actual wing itself. Before they ever had motors, I flew an actual delta wing, a hang glider that was created back in the '70s, and I learned to fly it in the gravel pits of South Jersey. I used to jump from a 40 or 50-foot cliff, and then glide to the bottom with this wing.
So we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to find out where this volcano was and what the motivation was and the outcome. Stay tuned. You're listening to Simone with This Is Life with our guest, Captain Joel S. Fogel.
It was a 12-foot dinghy with a 40-foot wingspan and a 65-horsepower snowmobile motor attached to the back, pushing the vehicle through the air at speeds of 50 to 60 miles an hour and to heights of 5,000 feet. The incredible flying boat was the talk of the beach for the past few summers as I glided and soared from Cape May to Beach Haven, looking for migrating sea mammals and spotting oil slicks and red tides for the United States Coast Guard and the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. I was a pilot, certified by the Sports Pilots Association, and eventually became a certified flight instructor with the National Association of Flight Instructors, teaching people how to fly this most amazing hang glider with a boat and a motor attached. It was exciting and a new adventure for me.